Welcome everybody to episode number 59 of Gaming Culture Radio. I'm your host Tyler, joined as always by our three co-hosts, starting with Mike. How you doing today, sir?
Just like peaches and cream, baby.
Yeah? Was it a good week? Was it a good week off after doing a million shows for E3?
It was. I feel so much. I feel replenished.
Yeah, it kind of does. I was talking to Graham before the show. It feels weird doing a show after a week off, after doing 6 in 1 week. And speaking of Graham, how are you today?
I'm doing good. Like I said, it's good to get out of all that chaos of last week.
Yeah.
So it's definitely nice, and looking forward to get back into playing some games instead of watching games and reading up on games and actually get to partake. So definitely looking forward to that.
Yep.
Really cool. And finally joining us is Eugene. How are you doing?
Man, I'm still recovering from E3. I really feel for like the actual journalists that go out there and have to just spend a week there in that whole hot mess. So it is a long week, but recovering well.
It's funny, we were talking, like, our goal next year is to be there.
Yeah.
And we think about how tired we were, like, after just doing these shows, and being there will be a whole other thing. But while we're on that note, guys, I just want to say thank you to the community, because we actually had more downloads during E3 week than we've had cumulative for this show, period.
Yeah.
Up until E3 week.
Beautiful.
Yep.
And
awesome.
I want to thank you guys, and big thank you to the people who've been around since the beginning, because you help us get a little attention. And then the people that have joined on recently, we thank you for listening and stay with us. And like we said, we've gotten some feedback about some background noise, things like that. I believe all that is fixed going in tonight, so it should be much, much better, and we should be good to go going forward. So thank you, and we're happy to be where we were on the iTunes rankings, and we continue to be. So the best way to keep us there, everybody, is if you like the show, head on over to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating, and give us a positive rating there, or through whatever app you use to listen to podcasts. You can also head over to Facebook and join our page, the Gaming Culture Radio forums. When you're there, you can submit questions to be read on the show. If they're read, you're entered for a monthly drawing, which we'll be doing next week for June, by the way. And we'll announce a winner every month. And since we have more than 100 people in our Facebook group now, the prizes are going to get bigger. So that's pretty awesome. So once we get up to 200, they'll get bigger yet. So, and tell your friends. Have your friends listen to the show and join the group. The bigger we get,
tell your friends.
Tell your friends. The bigger we get, the better the better the community gets, and the better the prizes get. So, but again, thank you to everybody out there who supported us and listened to us last week. It was awesome. It was a great time. It was really tiring. It was long, but it was a really cool experience to cover E3 for you.
Very enjoyable.
That was awesome.
Yeah. Hey, Tyler.
Yes.
I was just thinking about, going to E3 next year. You know what I think we should do? We should take turns, and we should rent a couple of those utility dollies, not the small ones, but the big ones for, like, taking fridges, and just duct tape a couple pillows to it. And whoever's, the worst off that day, just put them on there, and then, they can take over the next day for the person who's worst off.
Why not?
Can't do a golf cart because, people in a way.
Yeah, that's true. And you can't really do the Segway for the same reason. So you can probably do the dolly. That's good. That's a good call.
Yeah,
we might try that next year. So, all right. So with that, let's get into news, everybody. First off, as if there weren't enough consoles out there already, Atari has announced that they are producing a new gaming console. Eugene, you ran into this a little bit. Any thoughts on it? Was there any release date or any window?
So the only thing that Atari has released, there is a website, which I can't think of the name of it right now, but a lot of people were speculating that it's fake. It was just a teaser, and all it is, it's the Atari logo, and then it shows the top of what we assume is a console, and it looks pretty sleek. It shows a black top, and it shows some slick kind of wood grain, kind of like the old Atari. Yeah. Atari, I can't even think right now. Was it the 2200? Atari 2600. Sorry. Yeah. So the Atari 2600 has the wood grain. It looks pretty sleek, and a lot of rumors are flying around about it. But then the CEO had to come out and say, "Yep, it is happening. We are making a new console." My thoughts on it are, what kind of new console is it going to be? Personally, I don't think it's going to be a full-fledged console to compete with the Xbox, PlayStation. but
Yeah.
possibly I think it just might be an Atari console with a bunch of classics on it, maybe spanning from the original
Classic
Atari
games.
library, maybe going through the Atari Jaguar. I think the Atari Jaguar was the latest
Yeah.
console.
Yeah.
So maybe a bunch of HD remakes on there, kind of compiled like the NES Classic. I don't see them getting into the gaming market again. There's no way they can compete. What do you guys think?
I think that they probably won't put the Atari Jaguar software on there because, as far as I can remember, Eugene, you tell me because, well, I am older than you, but the only game that I can remember on there worth of salt was Aliens versus Predator. And
So, I mean, I can't speak towards the Atari Jaguar because I know when it came out it was like $700 or $800, and that was just something I didn't have as a kid. So
Right.
I don't have much experience with that. I definitely do have a lot of experience with the 2600 and 5200 with the games that they had on there, but can't really speak a lot towards the Jaguar. I know it was somewhat powerful, is competing against I want to say the Sega CD and the PlayStation 1 even, but then they kind of got out of it because they were so expensive. I think the games were like $200 a pop, and then the console itself was upwards of $800. So I can't really speak towards it, but I do find the news interesting. Do you guys have any experience with the Atari at all?
I don't think that it was the $700 or $800 one. I think the one with that was the $700-800 one, and that had the really expensive games, which was a little bit upwards of $100, was the Neo Geo because it was the closest thing.
Yes, the Neo Geo. Yeah,
it was the closest thing to arcade graphics at the time. All I know is my friend's father would buy pretty much every console that came out, and I'm damn sure that console tanked fairly soon after it came out.
Mm.
So, and as far and the only thing I got to say about this is good for them, but people who have problems with epilepsy, stay away from the 2600 games. That was the worst thing that ever happened to me. Was some of the things would trigger me. One of them was Tron, but the one that was the worst was Superman the game. I had a 45-minute seizure because of it, and I didn't have convulsing or anything like that. I just sort of just go to the lights were on but nobody was home sort of thing, and that was the longest one I'd ever had. So if they did come out with the 2600 games, I would not play them because a lot of them are just trigger happy as hell.
Yeah, for me, I don't think they're gonna. Eugene, I think you're right. I don't think they're gonna release a console to compete with PlayStation and Xbox. I think if anybody was going to do that, it would be Apple. And we've heard rumors of that in the past, and they've never done it because it's not a good business decision.
Yeah.
So these two companies, and it was a long shot for Microsoft to be successful, to be honest, and they turned out to be quite successful in the market. But now that there's two, I see. I see a third one, and I should include Nintendo in this, but Nintendo's just catering to a different audience, I think, to a degree. But with current gen, with the best resolution, best graphics, best etc., I don't know if there's room for a third. I don't, unless Nintendo elevated to that point, because they're already established. So I just don't think there's room for a new one. Graham, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I think it's pretty late into the game for them to try to jump on board. Now, I don't know if it was like the nostalgia of like people buying up the classic NES, like Atari's like, oh, maybe if we bring our classics back and put it on all a system, maybe people will go for it. But me personally, for Atari, like I can't even really think of ever seeing one. Like I know I've seen one, but I've been so young I don't remember it. That was like Atari was a thing that just completely missed me. I saw pictures of it and I'm like, oh yeah, that's what it looked like, but I don't remember playing any games or witnessing any games. So it does nothing for me. There's nothing they could do would draw me in. I already have my main systems that I enjoy, or like franchises from each system I enjoy. So it's good to see that for people that are big fans of Atari, and they're probably excited to see this, but I don't see it being a full-fledged, full-blown competitive gaming console. So we'll see what they do with it.
Yeah,
that's my thoughts.
All right, cool. Let's move on. So, Mike, you were right. Call of Duty 4 Remastered is going to be an individual release, and it's going to be available on June 27th on the PS4 and later release on the Xbox One.
Mm-hmm.
but it's $40,
Gouge, 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 gouge.
and that doesn't include the DLC maps.
Jesus.
And what
So-
are we looking for DLC maps? Like roughly.
I think it's about an extra $15.
Jesus.
Wow.
So you're talking a full retail release by the time you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they do plan on having special summer events and like a special summer map for Call of Duty 4, but man, is this anything other than a price grab, money grab at this point?
It is.
Yeah, pretty much it is. That's it. That's it. Here's the problem though. I mean, everything has advanced more, and people like the other shooters better. Some people like Black Ops 1s or better than 2 and stuff like that. And it's not worth $40. I said this when we first talked about it. I said if it's any more than like $25, it's just going to be a money grab, and the people who really, really, really want to buy it will, and then there won't be that many people playing it, so it's going to die off soon.
Yeah, I think this is way too high of a price to try to bring life back into this franchise. And it's not like they need the money or they're hurting the money or there's like a Kickstarter to give them money. They have crap tons of money. The next Call of Duty, they're going to sell millions and millions and make tons on it. So this is kind of ridiculous. And I think this is going to be ultimately be bad for the game. So, well, you guys screwed this one up.
So, like, I kind of got into an argument online with somebody about it as in one of the other video game groups I'm on. They're super excited for it. They're like, yes, I can finally play a standalone version of it. I'm like, hey man, and I'm looking on Amazon right now, and it's still true. And it's actually cheaper. You can get the Call of Duty Infinite Warfare Legacy Edition for $45.
There you
So
go.
you can go ahead and get Infinite Warfare with Call of Duty Remastered for $45. So why don't you just go ahead and get that? I know it's not a standalone disc, but you get the game. You get the game for $5 more, plus you get another game. So why invest in $40 into it? And same thing with that. That's the PlayStation version, $45, but for $49 you can get the Xbox version. So why do that? There's no sense to it.
And really,
Yeah,
the last Call of Duty game wasn't that bad. I mean, in terms of like if you just want to play campaign or whatever, it was okay. It wasn't great, but it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right.
Well,
yeah, good call.
That, man. Good call.
It's a little disappointing, but all right, Destiny 2, a game we're all kind of looking forward to. The beta officially begins on July 18th on PS4 and July 19th on Xbox One. It's going to include, for sure, the Homecoming mission, the Inverted Spire Strike, and some PvP, which Bungie's not quite clarified yet. So, thoughts on this? And I this is the same model they followed last time. PS4, I think, got it a day early for the first game. And I found that in the time that I had to play it, I didn't get bored. There was plenty to do. So I really enjoyed my time. And what they do, I think, is they make it a little easier to get some of the really awesome weapons because you don't get to keep them.
Right.
So, it gets you hooked. But yeah, I enjoyed the first beta. You guys looking forward to this?
Yeah,
go ahead, Eugene.
I was just going to say, I think this is pretty meaty for a beta. If I remember from the original Destiny beta, it really only came with the multiplayer aspect where you had the one map and you could play along with people, but it definitely didn't have a strike, and I don't think it had any PvP. So I think that's pretty awesome that they included so many features from it for you to play along with some other Destiny players online.
It had some multiplayer aspect to it, because that's what kept me hooked so long, but it just had like the first mission of the story, pretty much.
Right.
Yeah, and then it had a multiplayer aspect to it, so I think some PvP was in there. But yeah, you're right, I don't think there was a strike in the first beta. I could be wrong, but I don't think there was. So it's pretty cool that they have that in there. Yeah.
Well, we'll
Graham,
see.
Graham, you're going to be new to this game. What are your
I would
thoughts?
say, me personally, I'm what you guys would call a noob that comes to Destiny. I haven't watched anything on the original Destiny. I've seen like some of the action trailers or something like that, but I know nothing of it. I don't know what a strike is. I heard raids. I heard it's grinding, and so I'm hoping with me getting Destiny 2 that they fix the issues that the people had with Destiny 1, because I heard like the fan base really dropped off, or the player base dropped off for Destiny Like when I think the first update came and it was just more grinding and people like kind of fell off. So I'm hoping that that issue has been solved, and I look forward to trying it out for the first time and seeing what this Destiny world's all about.
Yeah, and I think the first one too, they really messed up like their RNG system to start with. And with the way that weapons were awarded to players and just gear in general, gear and weapons. And you could get like a purple and you get a purple engram and you get a blue weapon every time. You know,
Okay.
Yeah, that
just,
sucked.
so it just wasn't, the reward wasn't there for the grind.
Right.
So they fixed that, and that's what really turned that game around. Unfortunately, they lost a bunch of players before that, but you know, Destiny's had a really healthy community the whole time. So we'll see what number 2 looks like. But I'm looking forward to. But a reminder to everybody out there: those dates I announced, the 18th and 19th for PS4 and Xbox One. That is only if you pre-ordered the game. You don't get it till later. You don't get it till later if you haven't pre-ordered the game. So Graham, pre-order the game.
Yes, I'll have to check.
Graham.
I've pre-ordered so many games, I don't even remember if I pre-ordered this one.
We'll check. And you've pre-ordered so many. What's one more? So
Yeah, Graham.
all right.
What's one more? Pre-ordering on Amazon until they start releasing, and then my bank account starts going down. It's like that drop of the cartoons where they walk off the cliff and they start going down. That'd be my bank account. Goodbye.
All right. Next up, and by the way, Destiny 2 comes out September 6th. So it's the pretty much outside of Madden. If you're a big Madden fan, it's the first of the major releases.
Right.
So up next, Phil Spencer thinks the Xbox One S will outsell the One X because, quote, most people just want to get a console, put a controller in their hands, and play games, and I think that's true. I think the way I look at it, and I think a lot of our listeners and us look at it, we're the exception to the rule. We're like the hardcores. I think most people just want to get a console and play games. And they're not going to nitpick between, you know, with resolution and FPS and things like that, whereas we do. But I think a lot of people don't. So what are you guys' thoughts on that?
My thought on this is it all depends on their income. You know, if they have enough to throw at the X, they will. And if they don't, then they'll just get the S. You know? They'll upgrade later when they can. That's pretty much how that's going to go.
Okay, well, for me, I'm going to do a little plug here. I kind of wrote up on an article about my impressions about the Xbox One X and how it's going to be competing with the Xbox One S. So if you guys want to go over to xboxculture.net, you'll see an article says to game in 4K or to not game in 4K. That is the question.
Wait a minute.
So
It's a good read. I read it.
Wait a minute. When did you learn how to write?
The day after I learned how to read, man. It was pretty amazing. I think it was yesterday. But yeah, I totally see the Xbox One S doing really well and probably outselling the Xbox One X, just for the sake of there's not a big difference between the two. Like there is horsepower and graphics wise, but like no like major. The big thing is the price difference though. So I could see more people flocking towards the One S.
So Graham, push back on you on one thing here. So I agree with you. I think the One S is going to outsell the One X tremendously. And I think it's largely because of price. But
yeah,
do you really think there's only a small difference in the way games look?
But basically, it's just 4K to 1080. And yes, graphically, it's better, and they'll probably load quicker. But I don't think there's enough of a price to sway people, because you're still getting a 4K Blu-ray player with the One X.
Sure.
So, and it's like, it's going to be upscaled to 4K. Like, it's not true 4K. So it's on the borderline of the best quality visually you can get. So with paying an extra $300 just to get true 4K, it seems pretty steep.
I don't think it's going to stay at $199, is it? That's a temporary deal. So it's going to come off of that. But
well, even like a $50 increase, though, I still don't think it's going to be enough.
And I agree. I mean, like I said, I think it's going to dramatically outsell the One X, and it should. I mean, that's the way they've set up the model. Yeah. But I think that when it comes to if you have a 1080p TV, will the game perform better on the One X? Yes, but is it a big enough difference? No. Yeah. And I would say in that situation, buy a One S.
Yeah.
That way, you're future proof. Like you get a 4K TV, the game's going to look better. Not native 4K, but better.
Right.
And you have a 4K Blu-ray player. You're set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you have a 4K TV now with HDR and you're happy with that set, the One X is the way to go.
Yeah.
If you don't have a 1S, it's hard to justify buying the 1X. Why you still have a 1S? Unless there's a great trade-in value.
Not for me, because the One S is not built to run games natively in 4K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way I look at
the
it,
One X is.
Yeah, the way I look at it is more important to me than the 4K is the frame rate. What frame rate will so 60 frames is the big thing for me. If every game will run in 60 frames, then that's what would sell it for me. But I mean, I don't see anything wrong with what he said because it's true. The 1S will outsell the 1X. After I thought about it a little bit, I have a 4K TV. It may not be HDR, but it's still 4K, and I can definitely see the difference whenever games are upscaled to 4K because I recently purchased an Xbox One S. But I think I'm going to hold off. I think I'm going to hold off this holiday season and getting the One X because I do feel it is a more premium console. Will I eventually get it? I'm sure I will, just to make sure every game is 60 frames and then get that more graphical fidelity. Yeah. But I don't see anything wrong with what he said.
No, I don't either. I don't either. And I'm not like hammering on you, Graham. I hope you understand that. It's,
hammer. No.
I was talking about Phil. Anything wrong with what Phil said? But
no, I don't
say
see
nothing wrong with what Graham said.
But I think the people that have adopted 4K and especially HDR at this point are still considered early adopters. And early adopters tend to go for the best of the best right away.
Yeah.
So early adopters are going to get that 1X. They're going to. So, Graham, are you going to get a 1X this fall?
It depends on my money situation. Like I said, with all these games I've pre-ordered now too, that's going to take a big impact. So now it's like, would I rather have all these great games to play on still a really good system and visually it will be really well, or would I rather have a 1X and have a much better visual gaming experience with less games? Basically, it's I'm kind of torn, really. I don't know exactly.
And I totally get that. For me, like I invested a few months ago in the 4K TV with HDR, and Mike can attest to this. It looks amazing, does it not?
Yeah, it does. It really does.
For me to not get the 1X, I think would be selling myself short. And it's a couple $100 more, but man, if I spent the money I spent on the TV, I better be willing to cough up an extra $200 to get the 1X,
Right.
So,
but you got to be careful, though, man. Word is that 60 frames melt steel beams.
Yeah, By the way, I didn't throw this in the news, but I just want to mention it briefly. Nintendo fanboys out there, that Mario is confirmed to run in 60 frames across the full game.
No kidding.
Really?
That's great.
Even in handheld mode.
Wow. That's impressive.
So that's pretty awesome. Kudos to them.
Yeah.
On achieving that, because Zelda didn't get that, did it?
No.
They didn't get close to that. So kudos to them for achieving that. That's awesome. So really looking forward to that. But anyway, let us know your thoughts on are you planning on getting the 1X or not? There's a lot of hype around it. Has that kind of settled down?
Yeah. I'd like to know people's thoughts too, actually.
So, but let us know on our Facebook group, Gaming Culture Radio. Let's move on to the next story. Nintendo is increasing console shipments for the Switch in July and August to meet demand, and it's on an official apology for the lack of supply that they've had in the first few months. So it's been tough to get your hands on one. I wish they had put out an apology for the lack of supply of the retro consoles.
Yeah.
Too.
Don't even talk about it. I'm so bitter. I've given up on that.
Yeah, I have too. It's sad, but I've given up on it. But yeah, what do you guys think? I mean, I got a Switch right away. I mean, it wasn't that hard for me actually to go pre-order one. I went to Walmart and did their pre-order / layaway deal program and had no problems whatsoever. I think the problem is the majority of people flock to the same places, your GameStops and Best Buys of the world, and they run out.
Yeah.
Right.
So
EB Games for the Canadian fans.
right.
Yeah, well, what you're saying, dude. Well, it's true. I mean, it's not the hardest thing in the world to find. But I just wanted to throw in there. I didn't see any deals worth the while on the Switch, but apparently GameStop has a metric ton of what do they call that? Non-bundle Switches now. So it's just a basic Switch. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you can pretty much find them. You know,
I got an email.
cool.
Yeah, I got an email today from GameStop saying once again that you can put in for a drawing to be one of the owners of one of their 1,000 Switches that they have. So,
oh, gee, thank you.
You have to put in a bid to purchase a Switch. So that's great. So here's my thought on it. Like they say July and August, but with all these great games coming out this holiday season, I mean, they have a great game basically coming out August, September, October, November, December. They've got to keep that system on shelves throughout the holiday season. There shouldn't be any reason that you can't go into a Walmart or a GameStop and just say, hey, I want to purchase a Switch today. There should be no reason for that.
Especially with them having an amazing E3 and people like arguing that it could have been like one of the better ones. And I'm wondering if this is when they realize like, wow, like people really like this. They want these games. So we better make sure we get these consoles out. Because it's nothing. It's bad. Okay, if people want the console and they can't get it, because then they're like, oh, maybe I'll buy this instead, and then they've already spent their money. So Nintendo needs to make sure that they have these consoles for people who want them.
Yeah, Eugene, that's a great point. It's they just showed this fantastic lineup of games where they have basically one blockbuster every single month, and if you can buy the game but not play it on anything, that's a problem.
Yeah,
so you've got to be ready to go because they have a chance to strike right now. Because Sony has nothing coming this fall. I mean, they have some stuff, but it's not anything super impressive. And Microsoft has some stuff, but it's, again, they don't have any of their tentpole franchises. You know, they're relying a lot on Crackdown 3 and Forza 7 to carry the load here for them.
Yeah.
Which, those are not two traditional, foundations of Microsoft games. And Nintendo has an opportunity here to really strike with Mario and with, the Mario plus Rabbids, whatever game, and the other games they have, Battlegrounds, and the other games they have coming out, but not if there's no consoles to play it on. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a great point. I think they need to do this and they need to be ready because I think by the end of the year or early next year, they could already surpass what they sold with Wii U for the entire life cycle.
They're already on track.
It's looking that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. And any other thoughts on that?
Not really, man.
Keep it in stock. Keep it in stock. I had a fight for Amiibo today. It was ridiculous.
All right. Finally, in news, Sony Sean Layden confirmed that all the PS4 games shown at E3 that had a blanket 2018 release date will arrive in the first half of 2018. And that includes titles that we saw like Detroit Become Human, Days Gone, Spider-Man, and God of War. So I think it's pretty damn awesome that we're going to get Spider-Man in the first half of 2018.
Yeah.
And God of War, for that matter.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you guys think they should have clarified this at E3?
Yes.
Yes.
I think it would have been a totally different show if they clarified this at E3.
It would have lessened their backlash. Because basically, when we saw 2018, we're like, okay, that probably means towards the end if you do get in 2018. Because they're like, we just need to give them a release date, so let's say 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's the way I took it, and I'm sure many other people took it that way as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, he did say that it's June, so we're in the first half of 2017, and that all these games will be coming out in the, quote, next 12 to 13 months. So whether or not you think, late July, early August of 2018 is early 18, that's up to you. But we're going to give them benefit of the doubt here. And we're going to say that, I have a real tough time thinking that they're going to, put out 4 games in, late July. So, I think they're going to get the bulk of these games out in the early part of 18. Mm-hmm. Especially, God of War looks really close, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah, God of War and Days Gone, I think. Definitely Spider-Man will probably be, April. March, April, May.
Mm-hmm.
But Detroit Become Human, I don't know. I don't know about that. I have a strong feeling that may not even come out in 2018. So, kudos to them if they do get it out. But I think that's pushing it a little bit. But definitely God of War and Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
Yep.
All right, awesome. Well, nothing else on that, gentlemen?
Nope.
All right, cool. Well, that's going to do it for all our news this week. Let's turn it over to Graham. Graham, what can we get new in stores?
Well, next week we'll see a ton of new releases, and this is especially true for PS4 owners. But fear not, Xbox One owners, because a lot of these titles share their release date with the Xbox One. So let's get to it. Now, the following titles will be released on both consoles on the 27th. We have the Golf Club 2, Elite Dangerous Legendary Edition, Final Fantasy 15 Episode Prompt 2, Diablo 3 Rise of the Necromancer, which is DLC for people. We have DLC for Titanfall 2, the War Games, which is free, and Valkyria Revolution. It screwed that up, yes. Now,
we love you, Grammy.
Out of these titles, 3 will also be released for the PC gamers out there. And those titles are Diablo 3 Rise of the Necromancer, Golf Club 2, and Titanfall the War Games.
Hey, Grammy, do you have a price on the Diablo DLC?
No, actually.
I think it's $15.
15?
Okay, that's not terrible.
No,
pick that up then.
Yeah, I'll probably be picking that one up too.
We should get on there on Xbox. I think it would be a good game to play together.
Well, I did. I started the seasons, and then people started making characters, and I know I was playing with Steve and got him up pretty far, but it just died because we were just playing other stuff in E3 and all that.
Let's get on it this weekend, man. Let's get prepared for the Necromancer.
Fine with me.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, we have a couple releases that we'll be releasing on both PS4 and PC. We have Danganronpa, another episode. That was right.
Yes, Danganronpa.
Yes.
Yes.
I still like listening to you. Very carefully say these names.
Ultra Despair Girls and Micro Machines World Series. Now, Danganronpa, another episode, Ultra Despair Girls, will release for both systems on the 27th, while Micro Machines World Series will first release on the 29th on PC and then the following day on PS4. And that game to me just sounds like a lot of fun, even though I know nothing of it. Now, sticking with the PS4, we have Ancient Amaltor, Arizona Sunshine, and Cavernous Waste, and these will all be releasing on the 27th. And fans of the Crash Bandicoot series, I know you're out there, will be happy to know that the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy will be releasing on the 30th.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
So like I said, there's lots of games and DLC to be had on the PS4 next week. So for Xbox exclusivity, we have 3 titles, all of which will be releasing on the 30th. And they are Ghost of a Tale, Area, and Goliath.
Okay.
So to end the week off, we have some DLC that myself, and I'm sure many others, are very excited to see. We have some DLC for the amazing game The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, this DLC is titled The Master Trials, and this will be available for download on the 30th for the Nintendo Switch and the Wii U owners out there who possess this title. So, like I said, as you can see, we have a great week of new titles and great DLCs coming our way. So, happy gaming, everyone. Now, let's move it on over to Mike, where he'll tell us what's good in the deals department. Mike?
All right, boys and girls, thank you, Grammy. It's going to be a short one because I'm not going over what's available for free from the 2 consoles because I've been saying it for like the last 3 weeks. So what I do want to say is I got a couple of really good deals on both consoles. Starting off, you got a $100 Xbox card for $90 via Newegg right now. So that's $10 free money. This is the good one because we were talking about the Xbox One S earlier. Xbox One S 500 gigabyte Minecraft bundle, $184.99 at Newegg via eBay, with promo code P as in Paul Summer 15 off, and that's a pretty damn good deal. And you're not going to see much better than that for a while. That was pretty much it for Xbox. Jump over to PS4, and you get The Last Guardian $69.99 at eBay, free shipping. PlayStation 1 Plus 1 year for US $47.99 on eBay. And Amazon Prime members can get Dishonored 2 for $25.99. I looked at the Switch. I don't see anything on there really. So except for what, like I said earlier, about how GameStop is just getting flooded with them shortly. So that's pretty much going to do it for deals this week. Eugene, what you got for questions, man?
All right, so we did have a few questions on our Facebook group this week.
Yeah.
Stephen Wiseman asked, any changes on what's your favorite part of E3 now that it's been a week? So after it's settled down, any changes to the hype of E3?
Well,
You go
yeah,
ahead,
go
Mike.
ahead.
Go ahead.
Like I said, I don't own a Switch. I kept saying, "Give me a reason to buy one. Give me a reason to buy one," and then they did. So, that was refreshing for me. I was really happy about that. I just expected another stupid thing like the snapping of the fingers with the Switch thing, but I was pleasantly surprised. What about you, Tyler?
For me, no big change. I mean, I was really impressed with the One X, and
Yeah.
I still am. I plan on pre-ordering it as soon as it's approved to be pre-ordered, which hopefully will come in the next few weeks. The games I was really impressed with, again, Evil Within 2 and Skull and Bones. Really impressed with those. We learned Skull and Bones is going to have a single player mode, which is cool. And then a lot of the Nintendo releases look pretty awesome. Mario got me hyped and made me feel like I made the right decision buying a Switch. And then the PlayStation games that are coming out. I look forward to playing God of War. I look forward to playing Spider-Man. So, no, nothing's really changed. It's pretty much the same for me. How about you guys?
I was a little bit disappointed. I read a few kind of articles in the last week about the hype for E3, and IGN actually voted Super Mario Odyssey Game of Show, but a bunch of fans turned around and the player's choice was Spider-Man, which Spider-Man looked fantastic to me, but I don't know if this still will be a day one buy for me. I'll see how the reviews go and how the gameplay is, but if it plays as good as the kind of extended demo that they showed, I definitely will be getting it. I'm more excited though about the bigger franchises like Wolfenstein. I kind of want to play through the New Blood. That's my dilemma right now, is going back and playing through the prequels, of the games that are coming out. So I want to go back through and beat The Last of Us Remastered. I never beat the remastered version of it. I haven't beaten Doom yet, which I want to beat Doom in the next week. I was able to get through Battlefield this last week. I'm playing Titanfall right now, so I can get ready, for the next holiday season. So really, it's just getting through my backlog and getting prepared for these new games coming out.
Right.
Yeah, like nothing's really changed. I'm still stoked. I can't wait for these games to come out. I'm not sure like the list which one comes out first that I'm excited for, but I'm definitely excited for the Middle Earth: Shadow of War. That game looks amazing, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. But there's so many great games, and the Switch. I'm glad that I possess the Switch. I got one day one, and as all these games come out, I'll probably pre-order a bunch of them. Like Amazon Prime is probably the best thing and the worst thing for me, because I'm like, well, if I pre-order now, I'll save 20%.
Yeah.
But a lot of them probably will just sit there. I'm like, yep, I probably could have waited. But anyways, yeah, I'm so excited for a lot of them I pre-ordered. And like I said, for the Xbox One S, when the opportunity arises to pre-order, I will, just solidify one if I do decide to get one on day one. But like I said, the beauty about that, you could cancel it and there's no penalty, and then I'm sure somebody else will get the opportunity. But yeah, nothing's really changed. Everything looked great. The games I've been excited for, I'm still excited. Nothing has changed.
Yeah. I guess I didn't answer that question correctly, but that was a weird question.
Screw it up, Mike.
I know. I don't know. Moving on.
All right. So next question comes from Sean Capusta. So Sean asks, he wants us to talk about Polymega. So if you guys don't know what Polymega is, it is a retro gaming console that is coming out. It is going to be something that's different from some of the remakes of the Atari 2600 that we've seen in stores.
Yeah.
Some of the flashback systems that we've seen. Even the Retron 5, if you don't know what that is, it plays a bunch of cartridge-based games. But the Polymega is going to be a modular console to where you can buy pieces for it to play different games. And it was just announced recently that it is going to have a disc slot. And that is not going to be a modular attachment. That is going to be part of the system. So that way you can play PlayStation, Sega CD, and Neo Geo CD in modern HD. So Are any of you guys maybe interested in the Polymega in the future?
Yeah, I am. If you can
yeah.
play PlayStation 1 and Sega games on it,
Yeah.
definitely.
I go find a copy of that one game I keep barking about. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Medieval. That's it. Medieval.
Yeah, Medieval for PlayStation. So
Yeah.
I think it was just neat of the modular approach because like the Retron 5, yeah, it'll play like SNES, NES, and Sega and things like that, Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
But with this, it'll have attachments to it that, hey, if you only want the SNES and NES, you just buy those pieces for it, and
Right.
you kind of plug and play those pieces in the system.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering how much it's going to cost.
Yeah.
The sounds exciting. So
It does.
Yeah.
And that's always
Yes, it
the
does.
key is how much is this going to cost. So
Yeah.
yeah,
This
once
is
once I hear that, I'll be able to tell you better. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
This is one of those things where I see what you're doing there, but I
Yeah.
really don't care.
Yep.
So you do what you do, and you charge all this money for the other ones. I don't care.
Yep.
I mean, I know, Mike, you always talk about what's that little device that you can put custom-based software on and things like that to run old
Like
emulators.
emulators?
Raspberry Pi.
Oh.
Yeah, so Raspberry, I'm sure Raspberry Pi. I think they're on the Raspberry Pi 3 right now. I think
Yeah.
by then they're going to have the Raspberry Pi 4 and the Pi 3 right now. You can emulate most PlayStation 1
Everything.
games on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of stutters with some N64 and things like that. But once the Pi 4 comes out, you'll be able to just download all these games to the Pi 4, and it'll be able to support it. So, and you can buy the Pi 4 setup. You can start one up for about $50.
Yeah.
Pretty cheap. So if it can compete against that, then I'm all for it. But this thing, if it's going to be like $200, there's no way, even if it's in HD. So
Yeah.
Any more on that?
That's pretty much it for that one.
Yeah. What else we got?
Let's get one more question in there. This comes from Dylan Anderson. Are you guys hyped for VR first-party games like Skyrim, Fallout 4, or not so much? What games would you like to come to VR that would sway you towards VR gaming?
Dead or Alive 5.
Oh, come on.
Volleyball edition.
I was thinking the games that would get me excited is pretty much on the docket to come out. You got Skyrim, you got Fallout, you got Doom, and I'm not really I haven't played Doom. I know it's an amazing game, but I'm sure that game would be amazing in VR. So for me, yeah, the games are there. Like Fallout, that's amazing. But say like Breath of the Wild or something like that came out in VR. I know this is like maybe a pipe dream, but any like open world game where you can like openly explore, and even like horror games too, like which is ideal for VR. Like I'm still been debating like what if I go down to VR road, which way I'm gonna go, and I'm leaning towards HTC Vive as of late. Maybe because Fallout 4, maybe I'm kind of biased that way. Because I know Skyrim will definitely be out there later. I have my reasons why they probably didn't show it for that, because it's probably coming out next year, and Bethesda made a point to show what was coming out this year. So yeah, I'm pretty sure what I'm excited for is already out, and there's a few little extra gems. Maybe like a Mario game, like that would be pretty cool in VR.
Have you seen that video that guy posted? He made a augmented reality Mario game.
No, but I heard about it. I didn't.
Yeah,
check it
so I would think my add-on to this is for me to get really invested in VR, we have to see a price drop on the headset. So I can't afford the Vive. I can't afford the Oculus. I don't have a gaming PC for it. Even the PSVR is still I think $300, $299 to get the PSVR.
I saw a deal on Ben's Bargains yesterday for $300 even.
Yeah, so $300. I think retail though, like normal price was $400.
Okay.
And they are on the shelves right now, but $300 even to me is still pricey, especially when there's not a lot of games for it. Batman VR is the best touted game for it, and it's only an hour long. But Doom, Fallout for it would be fantastic. It hasn't been announced, but I would be interested in some kind of augmented reality headset, maybe for the Switch. I can imagine it. Imagine playing Pokemon Go in augmented reality, where you go out in the real world, you put this thing on your headset, you look like a total weirdo in the park with it. But you see Pokemon, you go up to them and you throw Pokeballs at it. I think that'd be an interesting concept. But until the headsets get cheaper and until they come up with bigger titles for VR, I'm not totally interested. What about you, Tyler?
For augmented reality, wasn't HoloLens? Wasn't that to be augmented reality?
Yeah, where they had that table that you could like interact with Minecraft and things like that. Or
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of went away, eh?
Yeah, that thing would be a lot of money though. I'm sure they're still making it, but only the elite would be able to afford it with the.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for the list of like killer games that I have to play in VR.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, like Fallout 4 VR might be the greatest VR experience ever, but it's hard to translate that on a conference show, when you're all watching it on regular TVs.
Right.
It's really hard to translate that. So,
uh-huh.
I like the idea where PSVR is going with the theater mode, where you can play other games in theater mode.
Mm-hmm.
For me, like playing MLB The Show in theater mode is pretty awesome. I like that idea. Playing if there's a good golf game on the market, playing that.
Yeah.
But for me, VR, when we come just to VR, you've got to get the horror genre up to speed because that's what's going to grab people.
Yeah.
Evil Within 2. VR.
If you had Evil Within 2 in pure VR, man.
Yeah.
It's not that like far out as a reach because like Bethesda shows that they are leaning towards VR.
They are.
And like you never know, that could be like a future announcement because like Fallout was out for a long time and then
Resident Evil.
Now we're gonna bring it out on VR. Yeah. So now it's like Evil Within. We're gonna bring that out in VR now.
Yeah. Imagine, Evil Within 2 in VR. Imagine Alien Isolation in VR.
I would die.
I'd be scared.
Yeah. I mean, games like that's what's going to grab people.
Yeah.
In terms of the experience and just really immerse you and just be
Friday
like...
Friday 13th? Like that would be
Friday 13th in VR.
That reminds me of something real quick. Ty, have any of you seen that fake Duck Hunt VR video?
No.
I've seen it. Yeah.
It's pretty hilarious, isn't it, Eugene?
Yeah, it was.
Basically, you see the controller with the fake hand, right? And, I mean the gun with the fake hand, and then a couple of them come up and you pop them and everything like that, and the dog gets up and holds two of them, right? Mm-hmm. So then all of a sudden, it's like massive flocks of ducks come out of everywhere. He's got an Uzi and he just starts, trying to shred them down. And there's so many of them that all of a sudden he puts down the Uzi and picks up a grenade and throws the grenade into the patch of grass, and then they all come flowing down, and then you see 20 to 30 of the dogs stand up with ducks in their hands. Mm-hmm. It's definitely worth checking out. But
I'm going to throw out one other type of game, and that is Star Wars games. If you released a proper Star Wars game in like beginning to end VR, that is a full-length game and modern, up-to-date graphics, etc., that would sell people.
I think that the two best Star Wars games that would be for VR would be the actual arcade game, which is basically green lines, and like X-Wing versus TIE Fighter.
Well, what about the new Amy Hennig game? I mean, there's a leak this week that we didn't cover in the news because it's just kind of a rumor, but there's a leak that game is set between Episode 4, the original Star Wars, and Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. And that's a pretty cool period to set that in. So what if you had a game like that was purely in VR? Imagine going face to face with like Darth Vader with a lightsaber in VR, or getting into an X-wing and going into space in a space battle in VR. And just having that entire experience be like that would do it.
Put up your hand and like shoot up some force powers and things like that.
Yeah.
That would bring a lot of people into the fold.
Yeah.
So I think that's the other type of game that could do it. Along with that would be your major tentpoles. I think there's some possibility there for games like Destiny and Titanfall.
Okay.
But I think Star Wars would be the franchise to put it over the top, but I think the horror genre would be the one that really grabs people. So that's my take.
Maybe get an Avatar game in it.
Yeah.
Maybe we should get an Avatar game in you.
Yeah.
Sideways.
Not sure what that means.
All right.
Anything else this week, Eugene?
Do we have time for one more question?
We have time for one more. Yeah.
Okay, so Brian Richland asked, what was a game growing up that you never played that you want to now as an adult? It's a good one.
Graham's going to yell at me for this. I'm going to answer first. There's two. I'm going to give you two. Castlevania. And I've never finished a Zelda game ever.
Yes, I've heard this, and I'm not sure how we maintain our friendship. There must be a deep bond or something. But man, the joy of finishing like Ocarina of Time. Oh my God, Tyler! If I could just like give you possess you, so you would have to go through it and do it, I would. But I don't possess that power.
I'm kind of appreciative of that, but.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild would be the perfect game for you to go to.
Yeah,
so.
and I will.
Yeah, that game is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna get back into this next week when that Master Trials come out.
Mm-hmm. All right. How about you guys?
Well, I'd have to go with Ghosts and Goblins. I mean, there's only 6 levels, and I've made it through probably half to maybe a full one. Yeah.
That game is so hard.
And I would really like to try to beat that one. So that'd be
a nice let's play, something for you to stream and just
right.
Yeah.
Right.
That game is a hard.
And I've never ever played Ghouls and Ghosts, but I've heard of it. So.
Yeah. Game that I would like to go back and try beat was the original Ninja Turtles on the NES. Never beat that game, and I tried so many times. That game was hard because
it was
once you run out of lives, that's it. You got to start from the beginning again.
Yeah.
And a couple times you could rescue one of the turtles and get them back, but I don't think you get full health back. But no, that game was so hard, and I would love to actually go back through it because I was a huge Turtles fan. When I was growing up, that was the biggest thing. That was just after G.I. Joe's, it was Ninja Turtles, and I was completely obsessed with it.
A lot of people hated that game, but I really loved it when I was little, and that was the one where you go in the sewers and then you climb out of the sewers and it kind of takes a top-down perspective. I really loved that game, and I remember when I was little, I eventually beat it later on, but I remember the first time I made it to Shredder at the end. Spoilers. And I died because I only had one. I only had one character left. It is a really neat game that you had 4 characters and you could switch between them. Yeah. And if you manage it correctly, you will survive. That's the whole thing, is knowing when to switch and not being biased towards one character. So
yeah. And remember the part with the party wagon where you had to blow up the barriers and you only had so many missiles, and if you shot the wrong one, that's it. You couldn't get any further in the game. You just had to give up.
I vaguely remember.
Yeah, that was tough.
Crazy.
And there was no go on the internet and see how you had to do it. You could subscribe to Nintendo Power or call them up on the phone, tip hotline.
Yeah, $5 a minute. And talk to an expert.
Yeah. Jesus.
I remember Nintendo Power.
Yeah.
976.
I would say if there's a game, I agree with Castlevania, because there was not a Castlevania game that I beat when I was younger. I still have Symphony of the Night, and now it's backwards compatible on Xbox, and it is touted as one of the greater Castlevanias. It was originally on the PlayStation. I need to go back and play that, so I agree there. And then also Metroid. I beat the first Metroid. I never played through Super Metroid. And I never played through Metroid 2, which since the remaster is coming, I'll definitely have a chance to replay it. But I want to play through the Metroid Prime titles now that Metroid Prime 4. I do have the collection for the Wii, and that's one thing that I do not want to do is play it on the Wii, so I might have to go find the GameCube titles. But if GameCube support comes to Switch, then that'll be a fantastic time to go back and play through those Metroid Prime titles.
You mean when it does?
When it does in 2019.
Right.
2019.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yep. So that's pretty much
it for
that.
questions.
All right. So let's wrap things up here. Kind of a short episode this week, but we are running out of bandwidth for the month of June due to all of our E3 coverage. So we're gonna keep this one short. Real quick, Graham, you're working on, or you just published actually, the 4K or not 4K article.
Yes.
So take a look at that. Head on over to xboxculture.net.
I'd love to get people's comments and know what their opinions is and what they're going to buy.
Yep, I just wrote up a brief preview of WWE 2K18 with Seth Rollins as the cover athlete, and I'll have a review of the Golf Club 2 up by Tuesday, hopefully Monday, but Tuesday at the very latest.
Okay, so in a nutshell, WWE, what is it, 18? No, you said 17, right?
2K18, yep.
2K18, how is it? Because I own it and I've never played it. It's
no,
still
17 is the one that you have.
Okay.
Yeah, 17 is the one that you have. So 17's good. It's good. I mean, 16
good.
and 17 have been good. Actually, very fun games. So I played a ton of 16, actually, and really enjoyed it. Had a good time. So definitely recommend those games. You don't have to be a big WWE fan to even get into it. But
yeah.
So
see, in my world, it's WWF, but we won't get into that.
Whatever. So, Eugene, anything special that you're working on coming out soon?
I will have, probably not this week, but in the upcoming week, I am going to be working on Game of the Year talk so far. So what are the big Xbox titles, Game of the Year contenders for this year so far? And then what do we have looking forward to for the rest of the year?
Is that a you article, or is that another, like, conglomerate?
Nope, that's just me. Yeah,
okay,
that's
cool.
just me.
Awesome. All right,
Quit putting me to work, Eugene.
I know. I'm actually happy he's done, like, putting us all, assigning us all stuff. So, with that,
hey, if you guys want to do a gaming,
I'm good. I'm going to be writing the Golf Club 2 review, and that's going to be good. So, I did write a Dirt 4 review as well. Check that out. Very fun game, and if you enjoy racing games, it's a nice change of pace from your Forzas of the world. So, check that out as well. Yep. All right, let's get out of here. So, for Mike, Graham, and Eugene, I'm Tyler saying thank you so much for joining us for episode number 59. Please head on over to Facebook and join the Gaming Culture Radio forums to submit questions, be entered into our giveaways, and head on over to xboxculture.net to stay up to date on all the latest news in gaming, also PlayStationCulture.net, and soon to be NintendoCulture.net as well. So, again, for all of us, I'm Tyler saying thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next week with episode number 60. Almost made it. Episode number 60. We blew through the 50s with E3, I know. Yeah. But we'll be back next week with episode number 60. Until then, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Stay safe and play some great games this week. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
I will cut you.